good morning, my neighbors. I know it's been a while since I actually dropped one of these before you take the trade. Now, this one's going to be a more like an emergency one, so let's go ahead and grab to the chart. So, I do not have my cameras on, so I'm going to give you a nice little 30-minute special. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way you can know when I come back on. You already know spring is like my busy session for one of my other income streams, so I am getting ready to start up before you take the trade all over again, and I am bringing all the good stuff that you love and know. All right, so first thing, you already know how NQ is doing. Now, here's the funny thing about this, because I was helping the community, and basically my good friend DK went ahead and sent out some stuff, and oh my God, what is going on with this Trump in his mouth? Sorry, actually, this time it's not even Trump's fault. It actually works out that they put a hold on the tariff, saying it's unconstitutional, unconstitutional, I think it's unconstitutional, or whatever the case may be. So, of course, Trump and his team, he's good at the court systems, hence the reason why he dodged all types of different bullets. And he started an appeals process. Now, when an appeals process happens, it sometimes rescinds the certain news or certain aspect that is placed in there. So that means they basically reinstated the tariffs. And that all happened inside of a 24-hour window. Again, he has the power of the government at the same time, so that's why it's a lot faster than when it was just his dime. So if you look here, we had a nice little gap up after Nvidia's earnings that really took off on NQ. So a good friend of mine reached out to me and it's like, oh my God, I don't believe what the hell just happened. Can you explain this to me? And to be honest, I think his technicals is at one point, and his in being able to put it all together plays a major factor, right? So let's uncompact that here, right? So in the midst of hearing about this so-called pause, it was roughly around this ballpark figure, somewhere in the middle of Wednesday. Um, Throughout the whole entire evening, going into the next day, while the Asian and overnight sessions was placed, there was an alert or notification saying that the appeal process is basically holding that judge at bay, so the tariffs are back. So this really rocked the market. We're talking about, if that goes my market dominance, we'll break that down in a little bit. We're talking about a range of 2,000 ticks, 500 points of movement in just NQ alone. So, um, again, based on your position or wherever you're targeting or whatever your plan is, execute your plan. Don't let the if there's anything that you need to address out of this, is what you saw on the candlesticks is the plan. And if it's starting to fail or it's starting to have a certain effect, then that means you just follow the plan. If you feel uncomfortable based on time constraints, if you're an option trader, or you're in a position that you feel like you can get a better position, again, we are 99% hedge fund managers, right? And if hedge funds sat there and adjust their position on every time the news decided to go ahead and say something's wrong, that hedge fund manager will be fired. You cannot react. You cannot have a response. And sometimes you just need to turn the TV off, go to sleep, take a nap, go play pickleball, or at least find something, you know, a little bit more productive in your life other than being a trader. So I tell a lot of traders during my mindset that you are more than a trader. I don't have all my folders. I am literally reconstructing my office, but I had to let this out. So just bear with me. I will do a whole nother mindset just around Trump news and how to deal with that. I did a course a few years back called Bulls, Bears, and Brains, right? And it was to target the fact that it doesn't matter if you're bullish, it doesn't matter if you're bearish. It's just you need to be able to put some conscious, rational, specific, objective driven, stoic dynamic into your trades. That it doesn't matter what happens. The question is, can you execute when it asks for you to do so. So let's look at this chart. So we got here tariffs. Basically, how I think about this is that people knew that the appeals process, the appeals, the repeal, as in they were going to take away the tariffs, was going to happen somewhere around here, right? Hence the reason why we got our pullbacks. The news comes out again. Buy the rumors, sell the news. That's how this game works, right? And you'll see nice little push up here. But again, as traders, we've seen the push-ups before the push-ups actually happen. So we're already in position when it's all said and done. But then when we get to here, this candle here, that is when the news finally was applied. And when that news came out, it would grab in all types of liquidity. We didn't really go anywhere. But for those that were already in position, they were happy. Then boom, the video earnings soon. Then boom, the alert comes in. Hey, guess what? Tariffs are being repealed. Nvidia's earnings is on its way. That means Nvidia is going to do well. China's going to do well. Well, everybody's kumbaya. We're back into a global economy. And then it's like, hold on. We're not doing that. I think at the end of the day, they're just pulling it back again. And somehow, some way, it could be through the candlesticks. It could be through the news. Whatever the catalyst is driven, we're going to find our way to maybe at least probably recapture this area, because these are new short-term bears that's stepping in, or this is actually going to be the big catalyst that's going to go ahead and let us just go ahead and break completely out. So I want you to really, really, really be sound on your strategy, on your setup. Let me go ahead and change up this a little bit because I got the algo going. I'm going to go ahead and I created a thing called market dominance. It just tells me when there's a lot of relative volume and a chance of potential pullbacks. And we could see on the daily that we had a nice little massive move to this upside. And what happened? We had a nice little pullback, and that's what built our base. This is the uptrend that we were on. And let me show you a magic trick. Bing, bing. Really? So when it comes down to it, and we're looking for uptrends, you need your point, your higher high, your higher low, your higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So if this wick went ahead and made a higher high, what is the rules that we do here? Because if that's the case, that means this higher low was penetrated or whatever the case may be. But when we make this, that means there is no such thing as a higher high unless there's a higher low to create the higher high. That's because this area breaks out and continues to that upside. So that means this area right here is our higher low. So we go ahead and we draw our support here. So if we're drawing our support here, then that means this would be our support as well, right? Assuming that that drawing is correct and all things are equal, then that means this here is no longer the higher low that made the higher high. So that means no longer are you my second point, you're my second. Oh, wow. What just happened there? It looks like when we went ahead and made the readjustment and today's session started to get a little bit of a push, they pushed it down. Whatever news is going on, actually, let me go ahead and grab the news. Let me make sure I'm saying everything I'm supposed to, right? We got personal income coming in. We got GDP growth. We got all types of, sorry, I take that back. That's Canada GDP growth. We got goods. Trade balance. Again, we got the China deficit and everything else, all that stuff, right? We got core PCE coming in, all these high folders. And then what we have at 10 o'clock, Michigan sentiment. Again, I'll say it again. Right now, it's not time to react because the wind is blowing you all over the place. Ride with the wind. And right now, whatever happens, happens, but let the dust settle and let the candles tell you the story. We are bouncing off of this wick after making this level here. So let's go ahead and come to a 15-minute chart so we can kind of point this out a little bit. I'm gonna squeeze the chart so I can readjust this properly because that will be our point. Let's go ahead and boom and try to get that historical data back there. Let's see that point. There's our point right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and readjust that. Where are you? There you are. Because of course the lower time frames is not exactly a science. So that means that is how it look for today. So that means here. We're trying to turn around and pivot this area and try to take some pressure off of are more recent bears that stepped into the game. Actually, we can even make this a lower low now. And we're wedging price over here. So if that is the case, then that means there is going to be a bit of a battle here, and it's probably going to wait till 9:30 to actually do that. And even when 9:30 happens, because there's news at 10 o'clock, we're talking about that Michigan sentiment is probably going to be the other catalyst that's coming in. Again, this is not a bullish or bearish. I'm talking about a reaction. Right now, everybody's sitting on their hands. They're not making any major moves. They might be making some minor tweaks as they make their adjustments, but could we have a position where hey, we try to get down here. Oh my God, look at this bullish divergence right here. Beam, beam, beam. And then now we're looking, oh, let's go ahead and take out to this upside. Could that be the case? It's very possible. So listen, don't panic. Don't fret. And again, it is money, your tool for you to make money. So that means at the end of the day, you should have bought enough time so that way you're not exposing the entirety of your portfolio or your money or whatever the trade is. So if you got a $100 trade with 10 days left on it, then this action is probably going to affect you mostly than the one that has a $100 trade that has 60 days left on it and it's probably going to cost them like 20 bucks or so. That's the game. So at the end of the day, don't look at this like chaos. All right, let's go ahead and do my normal thing. We're going to do a complete rundown of all the indices as I normally do. Let's look at oil. Look at that baby doll. That thing is looking like it wants to come down. Cheaper oil prices does help the economy a little bit because we're getting inflationary duties all over the place, and lower fuel costs helps a lot. Listen, Uber, I'm not even going to talk smack about you, but you know better. You know what y'all doing. Anyway, so if we look at this oil prices in itself, you got a very interesting dynamic that's happening here. We're building what looks like an order block. And if we break through here, if y'all know me, I love my bump and runs. And if we break out of this area, we're going to test this line. And that does not mean we're going to break that line. We're probably going to go ahead and fall even lower. But that will be your higher low lower high, so that we can make a lower low, especially being in the bearish state over here. That is the oil. Let's go check out gold. Gold is another one that is wedging as the market is trying to decipher what am I doing. So we got this nice little micro trend here that's trying to put pressure on a major trend 3 times over, and this thing looks like it wants to cascade itself down. Now the fun thing about this is that if we come into here, or if this is truly the pivot, we can make higher highs just based on the fact that we came into these lows the way we did. But here's the problem that I have with this. We have a major move to this downside. We have all this wedging action. It does not say it's okay to get in a position right now. Can you do some day trades? Absolutely. Can you actually take some scalps? Absolutely. Can you have some fun with it? Absolutely. But this is a pure barcode for longer term trades. So if you're playing like GDX or any other gold ETFs, this is going to annoy the crap out of you. Let's go ahead and check out silver. Now, I tell y'all this all the time. At the end of the day, silver is not to be traded. It's to be charted. And we can see in this chart, it's in the middle of its wedge. What is silver pointing us at? I think that silver is pointing us at a very interesting diamond-like pattern. Again, this can go any type of way, but it's like we're consolidating to break down, then we're consolidating to break out, and we got bullish divergence here. We got bullish divergence here, but the bullish divergence is not going nowhere. So there's a lot of noise that's happening here. And if I go over to the weekly, you can see how noisy this really is. So look at that nice little barcode. We basically stayed inside of this whole entire box for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Actually, it might be 6. Is it 6? That's about 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on the 6th week of playing inside of this range. Are we at the top of it? Absolutely. Did we break above it on the last week? Absolutely. Can we take out this area? Well, this is another order block because we got a doji over here, and you can see this is a nice little reactionary that made us come down to this level anyways. So this is going to be a tough level. So until we break out of here, this range is still into effect. So that means gold is stuck too. All right, so let's go over the British pound. British pound usually has a sentiment by following the market because it puts pressure on the US dollar. Look at that British pound start to take off here. But wait, if that's the case, then why the market look like it's just sitting still, not making higher highs on the NQ? Let's go check out ES. Is it ES that's doing it? No, not even ES. Could there be a delay of gratification for this upside? Are they waiting to the end of the month? Are they waiting for something particular? Are they waiting for the tariffs to finally solidify? Are they waiting for the agreement between China and this? What are they waiting for? Everybody's sitting on their hands. So just make sure that you understand your leverage and your position and understand your said risk. So that said, the British pound is doing that. If the British pound starts to fall, it can easily cascade and you're looking at a boom, boom, bearish divergence that is forming that will make the US dollar very, very bullish. All right, natural gas is where I put here, but now that we get into the summer months, I'm probably going to get rid of this. Now that I'm going to that transition, we'll probably stick ES in here, but you can kind of see nice little consolidation. I'm expecting lower prices, probably come back and retest that 2.9 because there's going to be less natural gas being used going into the summer. All right, and here is the infamous Russell. The Russell, you can kind of see we are getting out of our small caps throughout this whole entire rise, especially when the video is giving good earnings and Tesla's doing all types of run-ups. It's really putting some pressure on anything that is considered trying to play to the upside on the Russell. So just keep that in mind as we are on this trend line. I drew this trend line back here for all of this action that's here, and we got this micro trend to this upside, and we just visited it 2 days ago. This is the move to the downside. So if that's the case, then maybe we're going to push right into the MACD on the bearish side. So just keep that in mind. And then the last one is the tormental US dollar. Now, here's the fun thing about it. I think it's time for the dollar to kind of have its piece. I think it's time for it to kind of push up. The problem that the dollar does have is because, again, we're talking micro trend, and this was supposed to happen here, and we didn't really get that, and we got the back end retest over here, and that's the problem that we're facing. So now, if we're doing the same thing and all things are equal, what we're looking for is for us to go ahead and play to the downside with the dollar. That means we should be bullish in the market. Hence the reason why people are in their positions. Very, very, very interesting. How come we haven't really made no new high when it feels like we're making new lows? Because we haven't been down here since I get the point. Since there we are. 2022. Where's our new highs? So there's a little bit of a divergence between the relationship between the dollar and the rest of the market, which can really play a major factor inside of your investments. So I will say, now that the dollar is under that 100 level, there's a question that needs to be answered. How much of it does it give back? And when it does it make lower lows? And if it does make lower lows, then that means the market should rally. That means there should be a new agreement. And that means the U.S. should recover in all facets and forms. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because as speculators, we always try to make these anticipations and we try to position ourselves accordingly. But if you do it too early, you might be the one holding the bag. All right, so let's go ahead and run through some tickers. The tickers I am going to probably run into is the ones that my good friend is asking me all about in our text message. Let me grab my chart. Let's see. All right, that's not what I was looking for. Actually, this is fine. This is fine. All right, so first one he asked me about. He asked me about Amazon short term and long term. All right, so Amazon short term and long term. All right. Wait, did I do that in $1? Let's see. Yeah, I did do that in $1. I don't like to do it in here. I like to do it in here. All right. AMZN. Let's get rid of these drawings. Short term, still kind of bullish. When the bullish stayed here. Um, oof, that weekly is still down here on that side. Short term bullish. Let's put a fib here. Got a nice little push down here. Come on, get there. Oh yeah, yeah. Short term bullish. I think they're trying to have some type of reactionary stuff. They might be trying to take. They might be trying to take out this whole entire gap here, and I don't suggest it because that is the support that's probably going to take out this imbalance over here. But again, that is our micro trend that's taking out a major trend. So we got a major trend right here. We got a deviation of that major trend, and I'm going to do it on the daily also, so I can kind of point this out as well, right? Boom, boom, boom. Kind of like this. And then after that, it's going to go ahead and try to break that, which we already starting to break. And since we have this point and this point, that's our micro trend. So we're breaking a micro trend and breaking a major trend. And we're kind of in no man's land because they would love to test this area and get new friends. But if there's a pivot point, like not filling the gap, and if I'm a bear, I'm like, oh, I guess we're not going to fill the gap. And I was playing a downside position. And then I'll be the one that's cashing out so that way I can reposition myself. And the moment the price gets above this level right here, then it's going to break out and try to take out this imbalance over here around that 224. So short term bullish. So let's go ahead and look at that on a daily, and then we'll look at a long term. The why I'm doing daily for a long term is to kind of like point out something in particular because it allows me to kind of get a little bit more granular and look at more detail here. So let's just assume that this is our uptrend, right? October 2023, of course. You already know what happened during that time. And then we have August here. All right, so what's happening here, let me get this in the right place, right? What's happening here is that we had a nice little test of this same area. The market is trying to decide, is this pivot strong enough to make this our higher low to take out a higher high, and this would need to break out because if that's the case, we can then adjust our trend line from the August 5th drop off to now here, and this is going to be our rallying cry, and then we're going to get our deviations from here. That means we can attack everything from the downside, playing to the upside from here to here, and then this one hasn't made a higher high, but when it does, this would probably be a pivot for another one here. Come on, get there. Behave. There we go. And it'll look something like that. But again, this one is invalid because we have not taken out the sellers that exist here. All right, what else he got for me? I'm gonna do like two more. He said Tesla. I don't like Tesla. Me personally, I hate trading Tesla. I got some investments on another regard, but I don't like Tesla at all. Fuck. Alright, let's go with Tesla. Alright, so Tesla, again, there's another action that, and this is why it's important that you draw your fibs. Can they react and just really reject it off this level, and this is your golden zone, and then it just drops? Absolutely, it's very possible. It is completely and utterly possible, and it could really liquidate a lot of people going in, right? But if we can get past the 618, we'll probably get into 400 again. Now, they did miss earnings, so I don't think it's going to happen. I know Elon's making some adjustments so that way he can get back to his baby and try to save it. Supposedly, he's getting away from Department of Government Efficiency. What we got? We got 5 more minutes. A whole bunch of stuff. And they want to change the CEO and all that stuff. There's a lot of noise that's going over at Tesla. And you already know when it starts to move in one direction, it really moves. You do have a solid order block here. Let's look at it daily. What is he asking? Oh, he said only long term. Sorry, I gave y'all a short term view. He wanted only long term. But let's go ahead and look at the long term. Look at this. This is a nice little uptrend that's happening here after they went ahead and broke what is the downtrend over here. So unless they make a lower low at any given point, then we can't readjust. And this is a nice little effect going in that started back in April to get back to where it is right now. You got a nice little W here. It looks like we're making a wider type of W here. So that means there might be some pullback. But we got pivots that's being broken here, especially after they got, did they get through here? Yeah, they did get through here. So they've already penetrated this level here, which was a nice rejection area that created this. So now can they close above here? Well, is this pullback just for them to pick up some more? This does look like a bull flag. So that means if that's the case, a bull flag, that means this would be your pole. That means this will be your pole from here to here. And your extension of the pole will be the breakout, which will be about right here. And that brings you right inside of that order block. So long term, he's saying I don't know about the 500, but sure, or whatever the case may be. But that's what it looks like to me. All right, let's see what else he got for me. He also asked me about Hood. Another one. Listen, you will not catch my portfolio with this thing. I dipped a toe and got back in as a customer, but me to get trade, I'm very I got a small amount of money inside the Hood because of what they did with GameStop. It left a sour taste, and yeah, I'm one of those individuals. I don't like to hold your feet to the fire, but you show me bad business practices. But this one is looking to try to break and make some new highs. Which the funny thing about this, did it? It looked like it did. Here's our high. Yeah, they wicked it just a little bit, which lets me know it's possible they can break above there. Could this consolidation bring us down to like $59 just for it to recover? Very possible. And if it does, maybe that's where you buy the dip. He said short term. I'm doing it backwards again. I'm giving you a long term. All right. Why do I have $84 marked off? Oh, huh. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay. So, watch this. So back in 2021, there was a company that came out named Robinhood that decided to go ahead and launch their IPO. Again, they're coming off the backs of being completely and utterly shady by what they did with the whole entire GameStop phenomenon, right? Now, with everything that they're doing, and honestly, the reason why I got back inside of Robinhood was because I noticed they had like charting tools, and it looks like a real brokerage to a certain degree, with a little bit of still that gamification that they've had that made it so much fun during the pandemic, right? But whatever they did, again, when you hear IPOs, you never go in with the first IPO. I learned that lesson the hard way, really, really bad. But this was all the investors, the early investors of Robinhood, taking their money off the table because they have, whatever rules it may be. It looks like they had to wait a full week or so before they could start taking their money. And it may be like another month they could take rest or whatever the case may be. But whatever the rules are, it created this downtrend. Plus the catalyst of the fact we're coming off the pandemic. We had a retracement into 2022. And they were trying to figure out themselves because they weren't turning a profit. Now, fast forward, we're here. Now, they're figuring out their path. They're starting to turn a profit here consistently, and boom, there's your uncle, and this is what they are, right? So this is where the caveat comes into play, right? I'm not saying that it's going to get back to $84, but oh my God, that is a tempting tease right there. So I'm saying, what did he say? He asked for, no, he asked for long term. Long term, $80. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, 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 very possible. Very possible. Especially how this month is open. Let's look at the monthly. This is this is the last trading day of the month. If by some crazy miracle, because I don't think it's gonna happen, but let's just say this thing closes above 66.91 today, that means our month candle is going to close above here, and that could make things very spicy for that upside. At least to test it, because we got a nice little rounded bottom. They already turned into profit. They already had their retracement. They need their little cool down. Let's go here. Let me bring in some EMAs here. Let me see if I can see something here. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Still needs a little bit of a pullback. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for main. All right. If it stays above $62 and has no problems holding that $62, it could be fine. I think if it did get inside of what is said gap here, that'd be a problem, because these bears are probably getting real good control. We're already halfway through the stochastic, so I think there's going to be a bounce somewhere. But yeah, I think $84 is very attainable. Look out for bounces between 63.26, 62.57, 62.02. I don't want to see it touch 61.50 for 47 or anything like that. And we're probably going to go ahead and continuation on Robinhood. Not saying it's the season for it. I'm just telling you what the charts have, and that's probably what they're going to do. So just be vigilant, have your discipline, do what you're supposed to do based on the trading plan that you back tested and studied. If you have no strategy or you need somebody to kind of hold your hand along the way, I offer free one-on-ones, intro, so that way you can understand what a coach like myself can do for your portfolio. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, because right after that is the description for you to get that one-on-one through my link tree or the link that's provided below. All right. So I look forward to working with y'all. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you on the other side. Oh, and BYTTT is coming back in the middle of June. You have a great day.